Just today, Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee posted a bombshell tweet consisting of a bombshell video with another tweet consisting of a bombshell letter to the Department of Defense. And all of this has to do with UFO transparency. If this wasn't enough, Luis Elizondo shared some incredible quotes in an article that published today on thehill.com. In short, Welcome to Disclosure December. Frankly, this is an important video, so you're probably going to want to watch it all the way through. Let's start with Birchit's tweet that landed today. What a way to start off Disclosure December, y'all. Let's dig in. Representative Tim Burchett. Last summer's UFO report raised more questions than answers and stunk of a government cover-up. The Pentagon's new office to collect information about UFOs cannot follow this pattern of secrecy. It needs to be transparent about its findings. Our country can handle the truth. Right underneath that tweet, Tim writes, "Read my full letter to the Department of Defense here." I will read that full letter to you because of how historical it is and how much of a bombshell it is. And it's actually quite a short letter. Let's go. The header, Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, marked December 1st, 2021. The Honorable Ronald S. Moultrie, Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. Dear Undersecretary Moultrie, thank you for your ongoing attention to the presence of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, in our airspace. I write today requesting increased transparency into the matter. The June 2021 preliminary assessment released by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, provided few answers and raised more questions. The American people deserve to know whether we are alone in our galaxy. So I was disappointed that the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, UAPTF, lacked the sufficient data for an all-encompassing analysis. It is incredibly problematic that we still do not know if these UAPs are simply airborne clutter, advanced adversarial systems, or even advanced technologies not of this world. However, I am encouraged that the newly established Airborne Object Identification and Management Executive Council, AOIMEXEC, is transitioning the UAPTF to the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, AOIMSG. It is my hope that the AOIMSG will build off the preliminary assessment by collecting and analyzing all relevant data so we can get to the bottom of this phenomena. Therefore, I am requesting the AOIMSG or the AOIMEXEC brief members of Congress on their findings in a classified setting, followed by a public hearing before the relevant committees. Thank you for your service to the American people, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Respectfully, Tim Burchett, Member of Congress. Amazingly, in that letter, Representative Tim Burchett stated that the American people have a right to know whether we are alone in our galaxy. That's a hell of a line right out of a movie. You gotta love it. And I think he basically conveyed that the UAPTF wasn't able to receive the information that was really necessary for them to receive to adequately inform the Congress and the American public of what's going on. And this is something that Chris Mellon and Elizondo have complained about, I believe, simply because the head of the UAPTF did not have a high enough stature in the United States government to have the sufficient clearance to get the necessary information to share with the various committees of the Congress. So I'm glad that Mr. Burchett, I can't pronounce his name for some reason, but I'm glad that he complained about that, because this policy of secrecy has gone on long enough. And I think what you're witnessing from Mr. Burchett is frustration. And I don't think it's just him. I think that many members of the House and Senate are starting to see the light and recognizing that this policy of obfuscation and insulating this material about our reality has gone on far too long. It's also noteworthy that in his letter he asked for Congress to be briefed in a classified setting on their findings of what UAP represent. followed by a public hearing before the relevant congressional committees. And I think by public, he means that it would be broadcast beyond the confines of the United States Congress and into the homes of Americans and indeed the world at large. So I'm glad that he put in that letter a request for public hearings, because frankly, I think that's a very important part of the equation that we need as we move forward in this wonderful, profound, and historical process that we're all witnessing, in my opinion. Now let's dig into the video Tim Burchett shared with him on the House floor calling for UAP transparency from the new UAP office that is being instituted.
Last summer's UFO report, Mr. Speaker, from the Director of National Intelligence was bogus. The report raised more questions than answers about unidentified objects in the skies. It stunk of a government cover-up, Mr. Speaker.
Those are some amazing statements by Representative Burchett. He says that it was bogus. It raised more questions than answers, which it absolutely did. It was very vague and it sort of seemed like there were people that wanted transparency and people that didn't. And so the report almost seemed to be an ultimate revelation of that. Some people wanted to be a little bit more transparent, and some people wanted to promote confusion. That report, in my opinion, was likely bogus. And I hate to say it, but I think Birchit might be correct that it stunk of a UFO cover-up. And everyone in the Congress is asking for more information. They're not satisfied with that report. So it seems pretty clear that there's a lot more information to be revealed. And that report was really not an honest depiction of what the U.S. government knows. And that, I think, is pretty obvious. I mean, when you consider the hundreds of millions, billions of dollars that goes into sensor systems, the best in the world, just look at the Nimitz event alone. This idea that they don't have clarity on the performance of what was encountered during that UFO event series seems unlikely.
Now the Pentagon is starting a new office to collect information on these unidentified objects. The office is called the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. I don't know where they came up with that name. I'm sure they paid somebody a lot of money to come up with that.
The AOIMSG office doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, and some have speculated that that's intentional, just to make it more difficult to discuss it. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's an interesting suspicion.
I do not trust this new office, Mr. Speaker. I don't think it'll be transparent with lawmakers or the public about its findings. This is a national security issue. Congress needs to know what is going on so we can respond accordingly.
I don't blame Representative Burchett for being skeptical of this new office's desire to be transparent on the UFO issue. A recent article explained the difference between AOIMSG, which is the new office, and what the Gillibrand Amendment promises in terms of transparency. And I think this gets to the heart of why maybe someone like Representative Burchett simply doesn't trust this new office's intentions. From the news outlet Liberation Times, article titled, "Surrounded from All Sides, the Pentagon Will Lose Its UFO Battle," and that starts this week in Congress, by Christopher Sharp. Alarming aspects of DoD's UAP office. AOIMSG would, from our understanding, have no congressional oversight and would include no unclassified public reporting, unlike ASTRO, which stands for Anomaly Surveillance Tracking and Resolution Office. That begs the question, why on earth would the DoD not want to brief politicians and provide public transparency on this topic? What are they trying to hide? It's an alarming picture. If this does, as some speculate, reflect Russian or Chinese technology, then shouldn't committees, including Foreign Relations, Armed Services, and Intelligence, be privy to information so that necessary decisions can be made? There is zero chance that senators and representatives will react positively to the DoD's AOIMSG. Does one wonder whether politicians were even given the heads up by the DoD before announcing its new office? For the last few years, politicians have been briefed on UAP and will not be fooled by the latest DoD actions. And it's not just transparency. Key components contained within ASTRO, but not included within AOIMSG, from our understanding of the Hicks memo, are as follows. Now, just to reiterate, the following, as far as the author of this article understands, is included in the ASTRO office, but not in the AOIMSG office that the DoD just recently created. No reference to UAP being transmedium. The new group would concentrate on airborne phenomena, ignoring any ocean and perhaps space activity. No requirement for the development and implementation of a plan for collection and analysis. No application to incidents that occur outside of special use airspace. No reference to unclassified public briefings. No study into the physiological impact of UAP, which could indeed be impacting military personnel. No reference to scientific study or bridges built with the science community. No requirement to consult foreign nations. No requirement to examine technical issues such as non-combustion propulsion. No accountability or explanation required for agencies that withhold UAP data. No mention of the threat posed to nuclear assets, which may represent an urgent national security risk. No requirement to provide unclassified findings to Congress. Politicians responsible for national security should be very alarmed that the DoD doesn't intend to cover these components.
Today, I'm requesting the leaders of this new office bring members of Congress on their bring them in on their UFO findings. This is a matter of great public interest and has been for a very long time to a lot of Americans. Our government should not hide the truth from us for another second.
Our government should not hide the truth from us for another second. I'm not sure if truer words have ever been spoken in the history of our species. You may be wondering, why am I pouring a glass of vineyard in the midst of my great video? It's a valid question. Excuse me for a moment. Ignorance is bliss. Damn. Well, the reason, and I'm just going to top that off and call it a day. I've been drinking this over the past 3 days. Had it sitting around. Don't really drink much wine, but why not? But the reason I poured myself a glass of vineyard is because Elizondo has made an argument many times. He has stated that the secrecy of this subject is not like fine wine. The longer you hold it, the better it does not get. It's more like spoiled vegetables in your refrigerator. The longer time goes on, the worse it gets. So, in my humble opinion, Representative Birchit is absolutely correct that this should not be withheld from the public for another second, and that public interest from the American people has been extensive for a very long time. It is high time that the American government reflects the will of the people and the will of the Congress. And together, we desire UAP transparency, not more obfuscation and lies. That should become a relic of the past. And as we move forward, honesty, integrity, and transparency on this issue shall become the law of the land. I'll drink to that. Oh, trust me, I will. So be it.
If this new office is to be held accountable, our country will get more reports like the one that came out last summer, or worse, they will be silent and hope we all just forget about the phenomena. We do not need to fear these airborne and unidentified objects. They would have shown themselves to be dangerous a long time ago by now if they were a threat. Our citizens and country can handle the truth, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the remainder of my time.
I'm certainly happy that the American people and the world at large have folks like Tim Burchett, Lindsey Graham, Roy Blunt, Marco Rubio, as well as, of course, Kirsten Gillibrand on their side, representing the will of the public, the will of the world, and an end to one of the worst decisions our species has ever made, which is to conceal such a profound component of our reality. It would be akin to knowing that life transcends death, but determining that the public shouldn't know the answer to that question. Mind-boggling, isn't it? I can assure you, we will not forget about the phenomena. The phenomena has never forgotten about us. It's been here for a long time. Comes and goes as it will, as it wills. It allows those to see it. It wants to see it. It conceals itself as it wishes. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know who's behind the wheel. I don't know the agenda behind the phenomenon. And I don't even know if it exists. I've never seen it. How could I know anything with certainty unless I see it with my own eyes? But what I can say is that for the past 80 years, there have been very reputable people who have stated that they've seen it, they've experienced it, and that it's absolutely real. And I think that's most likely true. I'm very confident that that's true. Not 100%, but very confident. Anyways, it's wonderful going on this trip with you, because one way or the other, we're going to find out. Because I assess the U.S. government has the forensic proof that could put an end to the question of whether we're alone or not. The question is, will they reflect the will of the people? If you took a poll of the American public, whether they would want to know whether they're alone or not, I think well over 80% would say yes. If you took a poll from the American Congress, I think well over 80% would say yes. If you took a poll of every governmental representative, I think well over 80% would say yes, and yet there seems to be some interests within our government that does not want these answers or these questions to be answered, and that's a problem that I have a problem with. So I'm glad to witness this profound transition with my own eyes and ears, and I think we're going to a very beautiful place, but of course, I could be wrong. And why am I talking with a little bit of a whisper? I don't have the foggiest idea. To wrap this video up, I'm going to share an excerpt from an article that was published today on the website thehill.com, titled, "Ex-Officials Voice Deep Concerns Over New Pentagon UFO Unit," by MARIK VON RENNENKAMPFF. I apologize if I butchered that. Now, with the following excerpt, keep in mind that the new office that the Department of Defense has instituted, as far as I understand, falls under the OUSD INS. Elizondo also expressed concerns over government transparency, stating that there is plenty of documentation substantiating that certain elements of OUSD INS have not been forthcoming. That's one of the reasons why there's a Department of Defense Inspector General evaluation to determine how they are handling, or in this case, mishandling the UFO topic over the last 4 years. This is the same office that has bungled up the UFO issue so badly and has been telling people nothing to see here, to include not just senior Department of Defense leadership, but also the Department of Defense Inspector General and even Congress. When I talk to certain elements within Congress, they all say the same thing, that the OUSD INS support has been underwhelming, while noting that there are competent, patriotic civil servants in OUSD INS. Elizondo believes that certain senior leaders in the office are operating in a manner that is not consistent with the agenda that Congress has for the American people. Moreover, Elizondo believes that these career OUSD INS officials do not want the UFO issue going public, because then they're going to have to unwind the tape and admit to a lot of people that they have not been telling the truth on this topic. Referring in part to sudden Pentagon denials that he managed the Pentagon's informal UFO analysis unit, Elizondo anticipates further reprisals for speaking out. Elizondo responds to Representative Tim Burchett's tweet. "Thank you, Representative Tim Burchett, for your courage and candor on this important topic affecting each and every one of us. Thank you for your bipartisanship. You are a true statesman." This was a fun video, y'all. I had a good time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Not in a million years did I think everything that has transpired today would. I mean, yeah, everything's been escalating, but it's just amazing with the environment we're in right now. You never know what's going to emerge on any given day. And if anything like I covered in this video happened prior to the publishing of the December 16th, 2017 New York Times article, it would be considered a much bigger deal. But we're kind of in a new world, as it were, where there is a process that's being undertaken, in my opinion, in which a very old policy of secrecy surrounding this issue is beginning to erode, which is a great thing. So to end this video, to freedom, to world peace, to UAP transparency, blessing to you and yours. Please do not forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You become a patron or a YouTube member, you give a one-time donation. All of those links are in the description below. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy and I'll appreciate it so much. And you know what? If you've watched to this point, please put in the comments below, red. See you in the next episode. Special thanks to all YouTube members, patrons, those that have bought merch, those who give me a one-time donation, those who watched all the way through. I really appreciate it. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much.